Hello everyone! My name is Svetlana and I invite you to another virtual class of English. Would you like to improve your English grammar? Would you like to improve your English skills? If your answer is yes, then welcome to our grammar lesson today. Today we are going to speak about passive voice. And we will revise what active and passive voices are, learn the use of passive voice, and practice passive voice in sentences. Look at this picture, please. What time of the day is it? Is it morning? Is it afternoon? Or is it evening? How do you think? If the girl is sleeping and the sun is on the sky, then probably it's morning. Let's answer these questions. What has father cooked? Father has cooked breakfast. What is mother carrying on her shoulder? Mother is carrying a satchel. What is the girl doing? The girl is sleeping. Who left the door open? The boy left the door open. Let's look closer at these sentences. Father has cooked breakfast. The boy left the door open. Mother is carrying a satchel. The girl is sleeping. Who is performing the action? The first sentence. Correct, father. How about the second? Yes, the boy is the one who does the action. Number 3. Mother. Number 4. The girl. A sentence usually begins with the performer of the action. And in this situation, we have active sentences, and we use the active voice. Active voice means active subject, when the subject is doing the action, while passive voice has a passive subject. The subject is just receiving the action. Look at the example, please. The professor teaches the students. Who is the subject? The professor. What does the professor do? Teaches is the verb. And the students is the object of the sentence. This is an active sentence because we have an active subject, the professor. Now look at the second example. The students are taught by the professor. The object of the first sentence becomes the subject of the passive sentence and is the receiver of the action. The subject of the active sentence becomes the object, the performer of the action, which is also called the agent. Look at this example, please. What do you see in the picture? Somebody is writing, yes? Mary writes a letter. Who does the action? Mary does. She writes. This is the action. And what does she write? A letter, the object. This is active voice because the subject is active. Now look at the second example. A letter is written by Mary. This is a passive sentence because the object, a letter, became the subject of the passive sentence. And it is a passive subject. Look at the verb, please. is written. It is formed by the verb to be and the past participle of the verb write. How do we form passive voice? We have the verb to be, which takes the form of the verb from the active sentence, plus past participle. And now let's see how we use passive voice. When the agent is unknown or unimportant, as in the example, my bag was stolen yesterday. Who did this action? We don't know. To make statements more polite or formal, as in the example, my new computer has been damaged. So it's more polite to say, my computer has been damaged than you have damaged my new computer. And when the action is more important than the agent, such as in news reports, instructions, advertisements. Look at the example, please. Shops will be temporarily closed. News report. What is also important is to remember that the by phrase is included only if the writer or speaker wants to focus attention on the subject of the sentence, or it is important to know who performs the action. Now look at the examples, please. A party in his honor has recently been given by his friend. The focus is on the subject party. Look at the second example. Oliver Twist was written by Charles Dickens. The focus is on the performer of the action, Charles Dickens. In order to be able to use passive voice, you need to have a good mastery of the English tenses. This is why you need to revise them. If you open your English textbooks on page 107, you will see this chart where you can have a guide how tenses change in the passive voice. Look at the first. Present simple. Persuade or persuades, the third person singular. As we have said before, the verb to be takes the tense of the verb from the active sentence, and we have am, is, or are plus past participle of the verb, persuaded. And now let's practice a little bit. If you need, you may look into your books to see the forms of the passive voice. Write the sentences in the passive. The government has built a new hospital in this area. Think a little. Let's check. A new hospital has been built in this area by the government. The second. More and more people use planes for traveling. Planes becomes the subject of the passive sentence, are used for traveling by more and more people. Number 3. The school will buy new equipment. Let's check. New equipment will be bought by the school. Number 4 sentence. The students are using computers right now. Computers becomes the subject. Computers are being used right now by the students. Next. Children must not touch this button. This button is the object, which becomes the subject of the passive sentence. This button must not be touched by children. They offered the job to Simon. Look attentively at this sentence. We have two objects. When we have two objects in the active sentence, we can have two passive sentences. The first one, the job was offered to Simon by them. And the second passive sentence will start with Simon. Simon was offered the job by them. Let's continue. Look at the picture and make up a passive sentence using the clues given. Steven Spielberg make the film. Think a little, write down the sentence. Ready? Let's check. The film was made by Steven Spielberg. Here we have past simple. Let's go on. The Queen visit the school. Think a little and write down. Let's check. The school will be visited by the Queen. In this passive sentence, I have chosen the future simple. Next, bread make from flour. Write down the sentence. Are you ready? Let's check. The bread is made from flour. In this sentence, we have used present simple. Next one. Just tell the results and the students. Think and write down the sentence. Ready? Let's check. The students have just been told the results. Here we have used present perfect. Great. Now let's reflect on what we have done today. Today, we have revised active and passive forms of the verbs in English. We have learned who the performer and the receiver of an action are. We have learned about the use of passive voice. And we have done some exercises to practice passive voice. If you want to practice more, do the exercise from your textbooks on page 107. Look at the first sentence. We will have an example done for you. He didn't clean the room yesterday. The object is the room, which becomes the subject in the passive sentence. So we will have the room wasn't cleaned by him yesterday. Remember, never regret a day in your life. Good days give happiness. Bad days give you experience. Worst days give you lessons. And best days give you memories. You are fantastic today. See you next time. Goodbye.